All right, week 14 is over and we head into week 15. Let's see some highlights from this week. We had the Dolphins taking on the New York Jets. And of course, it is Cam Newton getting the victory, going 11-2 on the year. We've got 3 touchdowns, 237 yards for him. Alex Smith and the Jets fall short by 10 points. Next up, we got the Houston Texans taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Both teams having a surprisingly good year. And it was the 9-3 Texans who advanced to double-digit victories. 10-3 on the year over the Chiefs by simply a matter of 3 points. We have Bennett there, who had a huge game. He was like 150 yards receiving or something like that. So great game for him. Then we got the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Chargers. So the Eagles having a really, really difficult year. And this was the primetime Monday Night Football game. And yeah, it was not good for the Eagles. They could not even get a touchdown. McNabb sees only 3 points get on the board. Rodgers with 3 touchdowns in addition to that 3 points. So the Chargers go marching on. Then you got the Cowboys taking on the Detroit Lions. And here we have the Detroit Lions coming away with a lost fumble, 31-7. You thought the Lions were going to win there, didn't you? Because there was an offensive play at the start of this. But nope, it was a beat down by Dallas, and Dallas gets the win. Then you got the Saints taking on the Buccaneers. And in this game, we see Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. Hey, look at that beautiful play. That was a really insane play there, right, between 2 defenders. Sammy Watkins there with the touchdown. 34-31, Breeze over Gabbert. Saints ascend in this NFC South. Then you got the Washington Commanders taking on the Minnesota Vikings. And it is the Vikings who try to extend their lead here in the NFC North. That was Adam Thielen catching a touchdown pass from Robert Griffin III. 227 yards, 3 touchdowns for RG3. I think the Commanders had a chance of winning the game, but they failed the 2-point conversion. So those were the recaps. Now let's get into the rest of the games. We had all 4 of these games you saw the highlights for. We had the Seahawks beating the Falcons, going 24-21. The Steelers fall to the Ravens, so Peyton Manning found a way to win, even though I think it was 2 defensive touchdowns that saved Baltimore. Okay, 1 defensive touchdown. They have a special teams one? No. Okay. Well, they had a defensive touchdown. So Pittsburgh falls here. They fall 8-5. That's really dangerous because Cleveland doesn't beat the Titans, and they're now 8-5. So right now it's between the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers for the AFC North. Cardinals trounced the Rams, which is a surprise. The Cardinals had one of the worst records in the league. They're now to 5-8. Not the Chargers. The Rams are 8-5. They fall, and because they have that loss there. Then you've got the Denver Broncos winning, going 6-7. 6-7 division. Yeah, I know. The one kid that watches this got excited. So 2 6-7 records there from the Broncos and the Raiders, 21-14. Raiders were in that playoff hunt, neck and neck with the Chargers until they dropped a few games. Packers beat the Bears, 28-24. So you see the where are they? The Vikings are 7-6, tied with the Packers, trying to stay competitive for the NFC North. Bills beat the Bengals 23-17. The Colts beat the Jaguars 28-23. Patriots, 49ers, Giants, and Panthers on a bye week. I don't think any news really matters. Top performers, Cam Newton, who's a 99 overall X Factor. Yeah, he's really, really good. He had a big game against the Jets. Chris Culliver on defense had a pretty good game. Melvin Gordon, the rookie, with 159 yards, 2 touchdowns. That was nice. Yeldon, I guess, had 2 touchdowns there. That was a good victory for a good game for the Commanders running back. Surprises. Colt McCoy always tends to surprise because he's a low-rated quarterback, but sometimes plays well. Losing a lot of his games this season, which isn't great. Disappointments. Jerick McKinnon isn't really a disappointment just because he's got a high overall, but he's also the backup running back to Arian Foster. They have 2 90-plus running backs. Tannehill has been struggling this season, so I'm not surprised with that disappointment. Golden Tate only getting 3 receptions and 20 yards for the Bengals, being a 91 superstar receiver. And then Bridgewater, that's a little bit unfair to him because he didn't throw. The Eagles played Donovan McNabb the entire game, so like, yeah, he had 1 pass, so that's a little unfair to him. Transactions, Scheffler assigned to the Lions. Injuries, I'll give you a chance if you want to just take a look at who is hurt. Let's look at the standings now. So standings, we've got the Miami Dolphins 11-2, Patriots 8-5, Buffalo Bills are now 7-6. They are working their way to being a potential wild card spot. They do have an uphill climb though, because they have to get through. Well, actually, maybe they don't. Are they technically in the playoff picture? They're not. Okay, yeah, there's several 8-5 teams that are taking that spot. Jets 6-7, which I guess technically they're probably mathematically still in the playoffs, but they'd have to like win out, and that loss against the Miami Dolphins was not helpful. Pittsburgh is still ahead of Cleveland, but this is a very tight division now, which was the Steelers just running away with it. Now is contentious between the Browns and Pittsburgh. Baltimore 5-8. They're in Browns 5-game win streak. That's crazy. Then the Bengals 4-9, one of the bottom teams. You got the AFC South. We got the Houston Texans 10-3, Jacksonville Jaguars 5-8, Colts 4-9 because they beat the Jaguars. And then you got the Titans. I think they sit at the complete bottom of the league at 3-10. So they're probably the Jared Goff team. So we'll see how that pans out. Chargers 10-3, Chiefs 8-5, Broncos and Raiders fall into 6-7. Then you've got the Cowboys 8-5. They are ahead of the division by a game over the Giants. Eagles and Commanders, sadly, the same record, which is not very typical Philadelphia style. Not sure if I need to consider putting Teddy Bridgewater in, just because he's the younger quarterback as opposed to the 38-year-old Donovan McNabb, even though McNabb's not necessarily the reason they're losing. Yeah, net points, they're at -41. Wow, oof. I had to look at their season and see why they're getting beat up so bad. Then you got the Vikings, 7-6, tied with the Packers, 7-6. They're also very similar to Cleveland. The North has 2 tied division leaders. Lions are 5-8. I think they're probably still too far out to really come back in the playoffs. Because, I mean, they have the same chances as the Eagles, Commanders, Falcons, Panthers, and Cardinals, which, yeah, I don't think that's pretty far-fetched. Bears, 4-9. Then you got the Buccaneers, a game ahead at 7-6. Drew Brees and the Saints are chomping right there at the bit. There's 1 game behind the Buccaneers, and beating the Buccaneers was good for them. Falcons and Panthers, 5-8. I guess they're technically still in play for the division. I mean, only 4 more games left, so it's possible. Rams and Seahawks also tied for first, with the 49ers right behind them. Cardinals there with the 4th in the division. So yeah, right now it's Titans, Bengals, Colts, Bears, Commanders, Eagles picking number 6, Ravens 7, Cardinals 8, 9, and 10. When we look at the playoff picture, we got Dallas and Miami getting the bye week. Texans have clinched the playoffs. That's cool. Yeah, because their division is garbage. They sealed the division in week 15. 4 more games to go, and they're already in the playoffs. But I guess right now the Texans, if the Miami Dolphins screw up somehow, they might be able to move into being number 1, and that would be quite the surprise. And as we look at the player stats, we've got Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, Cam Newton, and Peyton Manning, top 5 in passing yards. If I go to touchdowns, we've got Newton, Rodgers, Carr, Roethlisberger, Brady on the top 5. Interception leaders, Derek Carr, 23. Oh, you know what? This is interesting because Derek Carr, I think, was a 2nd-round pick for the Bengals last year, and they will be picking most likely number 2. Could they go for Carson Wentz instead? Maybe I'd let me know if that's the case. Then you got Flacco, who's having a rough year, 19 interceptions. Donovan McNabb having 18, which could be a reason why they go with Teddy Bridgewater if they think the old man has passed his prime. Gabbert not doing great. Pryor and McCoy, Alex Smith, and Matt Ryan tied for interceptions. Rushing leaders, we got Chris Johnson, Javid Best. Javid Best is a surprise. Best was the backup to Darren McFadden for many seasons, and now he's got his chance to start, and he's blowing the league away. We got McFadden there, Foster, and Trent Richardson in top 5. And then we see all the way from the quarterback, Terrell Pryor, all the way up. We see 12 people have already cracked over 1,000 yards. Touchdowns, Chris Johnson's got 20. I have slowed him down a little bit, giving some of the backup running backs a little bit more attention just because I don't want to inflate his stats too much because he could be a top scorer, 3 touchdowns a game kind of guy, which maybe I need to do for the Colts, but they still find a way to lose. McFadden, Richardson, and Martin there with 14. And then you got Spiller, McCoy, and Martin, or Stewart, Spiller, McCoy with 13 touchdowns. Receiving, we got Mike Wallace over 1,000 yards, 1,158. Greg Olsen, Calvin Johnson Jr., Odell Beckham Jr., Josh Gordon, top 5 receiving leaders in the league. You can see there's a few more if you want to take a look deeper into the top 19. We look at touchdowns are here. So Calvin Johnson Jr., the rookie Stephon Diggs, Mike Wallace tied with Odell Beckham Jr. and Demaryius Thomas for the top 5. Greg Jennings from the Titans to the 49ers. He's doing great. Let's see. Drops. Randall Cobb, the rookie for the Colts, having a pretty rough year with drops. Larry Fitzgerald, who's known for catching the ball, 9 drops. And we got 9 for Robert Meacham, Austin Seferian-Jenkins. Yeah, look what Peyton Manning is working with, everybody. Peyton Manning's trying to do the best with the Ravens, and he's got 2 of the top 4 people in the league with the most drops. They're tied for number 1 in drops. 2 of them are Ravens. Don't know why the Ravens suck, but man, do they suck. Taylor Mays, Southward, Moore, Lofton, Manning, all 4 tackles, or top in tackles. Von Miller with 15 sacks on the year. Dante Fowler with 10 in his rookie year. Mingo, 10. Timmons, 10. Everett Brown tied for 9 with Jason Pierre-Paul and Olivier Vernon. Interceptions, we had 6 from Barry and Glover Quinn, along with a lot with 5. Manti Te'o, C.J. Mosley, Clinton Dix, Nolan Carroll II, Justin Durant, and Sean Smith, all with 5. Then we got Jim Harbaugh, on track for Coach of the Year. Got the Cleveland Browns coach Mike Pettin right behind him, Bill Belichick, Jeff Fisher, and then Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers. I'm sorry. Chargers head coach is Sean Payton. Then you have most valuable players: Cam Newton, Chris Johnson, Michael Vick, Aaron Rodgers, followed by Terrell Pryor. Offensive player, we got Chris Johnson also up there with McFadden, Mike Wallace, Spiller, and Newton. Defensive player of the year, we got Von Miller on track for it. Manti Te'o. Man, a different career in my franchise. Manti Te'o and his imaginary girlfriend doing magical things. Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, Justin Durant, Glover Quinn, Khalil Mack for Defensive Player of the Year. Offensive Rookie of the Year, we got Todd Gurley and Stephon Diggs fighting for it. And we've got Dante Fowler and Quan Alexander fighting for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Best QB is Newton so far. He's got quite the stat line there. Best running back, Chris Johnson. Mike Wallace, best receiver. Best D lineman, Von Miller. Best linebacker, Lawrence Timmons and Mingo fighting for it. And then best defensive back is between Quinn and Eric Berry. And now we look at the week preview. We got the Dolphins versus Steelers. That's a big game because Miami wants to stay number 1 in the entire league, and the Steelers want to stay on top in their division. So that game, both teams desperately need a win there. Bills and Patriots. So the Patriots want to continue being the 5th seed in the playoffs, owning that wild card seed, and the Bills are going to try to overcome the Patriots and try to take that playoff seed from them. Cowboys versus the Vikings. Dallas wants to stay on top of the AFC East, and the Vikings are tied with the Packers, trying to stay on top. So that's an interesting one. We've got the Lions versus the Rams. Rams trying to ascend in the NFC West. Detroit just playing for pride. Commanders against the Giants. That's a divisional matchup. Giants trying to move forward in this division of the NFC East. Hopefully if Dallas loses and they can win, they might be in play for the division. The Colts against the Seahawks. Colts playing for pride. Seattle Seahawks trying to stay above the Rams or neck and neck with the Rams. Then you've got Raiders and Eagles. Neither game really matters. I got to really consider if Teddy Bridgewater starts taking the reins here as we get to the end of the season and the Eagles' playoff hopes are more and more over. Titans versus the 49ers. Titans, again, looking like the worst team in the league. San Fran should have a good showing against them. Chargers over the Chiefs, another AFC West battle. Chiefs trying to stay in the playoff picture. Chargers trying to lock the division down and maybe even move up in the standings. If Miami loses to Pittsburgh and the Chargers win, Chargers can move to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. Cardinals against the Texans. Cardinals are just trying to bounce back from a very terrible start to the season, now being 5-8, which is much better. Meanwhile, the Texans are already clinching the playoffs, and they're trying just to increase which home field advantage they get. They're now their 3rd seed. If they can move up to be the 1st seed, who knows? Maybe they might start benching some of their players to preserve them for the playoffs and avoid injury. Then you get the Packers versus the Broncos. So Broncos, they also had a bad start to the year. They're starting to turn it around a little bit. Hopefully they're not getting too hot too soon in Green Bay's sake. Green Bay trying to stay on top of the NFC North. Falcons versus Buccaneers. This is a game that the Saints are rooting for the Falcons, hoping the Falcons can keep the Buccaneers from staying on top of the NFC South. Falcons technically still in the running. Falcons want this win because they could possibly win the division because they're just like the Saints right now. This is very much like the real NFC South. None of these teams are that good. Then you get the Browns versus the Bears. Browns trying to get past Pittsburgh to be leading the division. With Mike Pettin and Terrell Pryor, anything's possible. And the Bears have been garbage this season, so we'll see. Bears are actually projected to win, though. That's interesting. You get the Jaguars versus the Jets, 2 bad teams playing each other. Panthers versus Saints. You would also look at that record and say 2 bad teams playing each other, but really it's the Saints trying to be competitive for the division in the NFC South, and the Panthers trying to do what the Falcons are doing, trying to get that long shot chance of winning the division. If they win, that could possibly help them in these next 4 weeks come away with a division lead if the Buccaneers just screw up the rest of the year. Then you got the Ravens and Bengals, 2 bad teams in the AFC North. Nothing much to see there. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you like this content and want to see more of it. I'm going to continue unraveling the story as we get to the playoffs. So thanks for watching and see you in the next video.